Hey, welcome back, guys. I wanted to touch on a couple things today. Scene controllers and channels on the XFX3. Before we get into it, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get alerts when I put new videos out, and leave a comment if you want. So I got a comment, actually a question on one of my videos the other day asking about controlling different parameters of the amplifiers as you switch scenes. So I was on vacation, I didn't have my XFX in front of me. So I kind of responded with, hey, it sounds like you could use scene controllers. And, you know, the XFX3 is so new to me that I kind of overlooked the obvious thing, which was channels, which is super flexible. And so what I wanted to go through today was basically hitting on a topic in the manual. And I'll say this, I'm one of those guys, I love to pick up the manuals and read them. Not a lot of people are like that. So I always suggest, sit with the manual and go through it. Half the time, though, it's easier with these videos. I get it because you don't really know what to look for. And when you have somebody explain real-world examples and then they reference the manual, it does help out. So I'm happy to do that for sure. So page 144 in the manual, if you look over here, you can see the tutorial about scene controllers. It's page 144, as I've said. And so when you go in here, it talks about basically that you can set up a scene controller to adjust the input drive of an amp block. So this is just one example. And they even mention it here, while it's easy enough to achieve different amp sounds within a preset by switching the channel, this provides an excellent and easy way to understand how scene controllers work. So, I would suggest to at least understand how the scene controller works, and then you have that. It may come up some other time where you say, you know what, I'd rather use a scene controller rather than using channels, although channels is awesome. So what I wanted to do first was quickly cover scene controllers and then jump over to channels, and I'll show you a preset. We'll actually make a simple preset, and then I'll show you a finished preset that I did earlier today. We're not talking about capturing the perfect tone here or even a good tone. I really just wanted to show you what you can do with channels and or scene controllers. So in scene controllers, I can go and take just a simple, in this example, input drive and control the level with the scene controllers. And in a sense, you can make it where you have basically a 3-channel amp or a 4-channel amp. Channels so much more flexible, but it's nice to at least understand this part. So I've got this super lead in here. Let's see. Yep. So I got a 1959 super lead treble, and like I said, I'm going to leave it on its default kind of sounds. So this is what it sounds like out of the box. Nothing special right now. And so first thing we want to do is you can come over to the input drive, and everywhere you see a small little orange circle, this means you can actually it can be a modifier can be put to it. It's like a scene, like this scene control we're going to put to it. Modifiers can be accessed accented by just right clicking, and so we've chosen a modifier. In this case, it's going to be a scene controller. There's a lot of different modifiers here, but it can be controlled via pedal, external pedal, or some other external device, external foot switch. You can see these FCs are ready for the FC foot controllers. We're going to go ahead and select scene controller. So scene controller 1, you've got 4 different scene controllers, and I'll bring them up here and show you what they look like. So from here, you basically just set it to scene controller 1 and then just exit out of it. And then, so the next time you see this little orange dot, it means it's got a modifier attached to it. In our case, it's scene controller. If you come up here and you go to controllers and then scroll down here to scene controller 1 and 2, you can see I've already got these set up from earlier, but let's just take them back to 0 and we're on scene 1. So what I like to do here, if I'm going to be controlling something and I want it the same amp and I'm just wanting to just modify, do one parameter, I'll go over here to scenes. I'll hit scene, I'll hit copy current scene to each, or how many scenes I'm going to have. So in this case, we're just going to do 2 for this demo. So I've got the same preset over here on scene 2. we're going to stay to scene 1. And basically that drive block, or that input drive, nothing is, coming through right now at all. Once I start to hit this under scene 1, this is that parameter that we're going to control. So you can hear stuff start to come through. Say I just wanted a clean sound, or somewhat clean, right? Let's take it down a little bit more. So that's going to be my clean. I can take it, put it up on the neck pickup. Have a nice semi-clean. And then for scene 2, we'll just have to, again, use our ears. So I'm going to go over here, and you'll want to flip up top, flip to your scene 2. If you understand, if you get to scene 2, of course, it takes the controllers away. Let's go back to controller section. You should have no sound. And here's where we're going to use our ears, or we're going to dial in this parameter here to control that input gain. So we've got a nice clean. So that's scene controllers. So now I want to take you over to the really cool feature, which is channels. And I think the manual just wanted to at least kind of go over and say you need to be familiar with the scene controllers function. So let's talk about channels. This is the ultimate flexibility and power, in my opinion. And what you can have is basically 4 separate amps with different sounds, everything. Now, for this example, we're only going to, I'm dialing in kind of a real world thing. I typically focus on, for a dirty kind of sound, I'll focus on 1 amp and tend to run that setting all the time. But you certainly could have, 4 totally different amps. Now, I will use a separate amp for clean. So I maybe use like a Fender style, or I like the Dr. Z stuff. That's great, and there's plenty of other great clean models. So in this case, we're going to use the same model and basically copy that channel over, and then show you the difference of, rather than use a scene controller, I can go ahead and come in here and I can change any parameter in that and have a totally separate amp. So let's go in here to the amp block. First off, I'm going to take this and I'm going to copy this setting over to scenes 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to basically show you how I do here. Now this is the part you got to think about, that for me, I always come in here and I get something wrong and I select the wrong channel here. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. So in this preset, or scene, sorry, I'm going to hit the drop down and I'm going to copy, actually, sorry, let's do this. What I want to do is copy these channels over. Channel A to channel B. Channel A to channel C, and channel A, well, we'll just do channel D. So if you look in here, we've got channel A, sounds the same as channel B, same settings, right? And I did it to D as well, but we're only going to focus on just the programming here, A, B, and C. And that relates to these scenes as well. So in here, I want to take this same scene and make sure that they all sound the same here. So all you have to do here is go ahead and you can kind of do some kind of pre-work here. Set this to channel B. So all you do is just, like half the time I'll come in here and I'll end up messing with some of these, and I'll go to my scenes and I'm like, it's flip-flop something around because I changed something and was kind of messing with channels. So you just got to make sure that you just verify that everything is as you want. So if you look, I've got channel A, watch as I change the scenes, channel B, channel C, D, because we just did it. So, but they all sound the same right now. So within here, all you have to do is just change what you want per scene. So let's do that on the amps. So you can take this, let's go ahead and we're gonna make a clean tone. So what I want is I want channel 1 to be clean, channel 2 to be crunch, channel 3 to be my heavier rhythm tone. And then my finish preset has some other, some cool things I've done with just adding some other effects. So let's go ahead and set this how I want it. Let's try this, maybe a little less mids, crispy. Take my master down a bit. So scene 2, we've got a basic crunch. So for scene 3, I went ahead and just brought this input drive up pretty hot. Turned on my input boost, changed the input type. You know what? I think I want this super overdrive. So, yeah, and then you can come back down to channel 2. I keep saying channel 2, it's scene 2. We can change that and say, you know what, I'd rather have this as my lead sound. So let me add a little delay on here. I'll add a tape delay, my favorite. Mix 10, maybe that at 10 as well. So in the end, we've got a clean. Let me turn this delay off. We've got a crunch, scene 2, and scene 3. So I wanted to show you the final preset. I did this earlier in the day. This is basically the same thing I just showed you how to do. It's got clean on scene 1. Scene 2 is a rhythm. I've added a drive block here so I can control things a little bit better. Over here, go into a lead. I did change a few things in here. Then I wanted to do something even a little crazier than what I'm normally used to, and on channel 4 I've added a fuzz. What I did was I went and put on the B channel, put a face fuzz instead of the TS808. I added a pitch, the octave divider. I took out those 2 octaves down. I took out that one. Now I just have 1 octave down. And then I've got a block, and I've attached a modifier. You can see it going in here, the LFO. It actually sweeps back and forth automatically because I didn't have my expression pedal hooked up, but it's kind of cool. It's kind of what I wanted anyway. I brought the amps drive down a little bit because I want the fuzz face to come through, and it sounds like this. That's a sound that I could probably just sit here for hours and play with. So I hope this kind of opens up some cool things for you if you're really thinking about buying an Axe-Fx 3. Hope this helps that decision. With that said, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell for alerts when I put out new content, and leave a comment below. Let me know what else you'd like to see. See ya.